Hey everyone, welcome to our deep dive on lip fillers.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone's talking about lip fillers these days.
Right.
And probably a lot of you listening are curious about what they actually are. Like, what are the different types of lip fillers out there, and what are the risks and benefits?
Yeah.
How much do they even cost?
Totally.
So we did a bunch of research, and we've got a lot of info to share.
Yeah, we do.
And luckily, I've got our expert here to help us understand all of it.
I'm excited to dive in.
Me too. So let's start with the basics. What exactly are lip fillers?
Okay, so the most common top you'll hear about are hyaluronic acid fillers.
Okay.
They're often called HA fillers for short.
Got it.
And what's really interesting about these is that hyaluronic acid is something that's naturally found in our skin already.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's all about hydration and giving our skin that plump, youthful look.
So when you get HA fillers, you're basically just adding more of what your body already has.
Exactly. You're not introducing something totally foreign.
Yeah.
And it's actually really different from those old school collagen fillers that people used to get.
Oh, yeah, I remember hearing about those. So HA fillers are a newer, more natural option.
Yeah. And unlike permanent implants, they're temporary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Your body actually breaks them down and absorbs them over time.
How long do they usually last?
Usually it's somewhere between 6 to 12 months.
Okay, so it's a noticeable boost, but it's not a forever decision.
Right. Exactly.
You can kind of tweak things as you go. I bet that's really appealing to people.
Definitely. It gives you more control.
But that brings us to the big question. Why are lip fillers so popular these days? Is it just as simple as people wanting fuller lips?
Well, fuller lips are definitely often seen as youthful and attractive.
Right?
But I think there's a lot more to it than that. I think you have to consider how much beauty standards are constantly changing.
Oh, for sure.
Like they're influenced by everything from celebrities to what we see on social media.
Yeah, you can't deny the impact of social media these days. It's huge. It seems like everyone's chasing that perfectly plump pout they see on Instagram.
Yeah, you said it.
But a lot of those images are, filtered and edited.
Definitely. Creating this unattainable ideal.
Totally.
And it's really important for people to keep that in mind when they're thinking about getting any kind of cosmetic procedure.
For sure. For sure. So it's not just about wanting bigger lips for yourself.
Right.
It's also about navigating these external pressures.
Absolutely.
And expectations from society and stuff. But on a more personal level, what do you think is driving this desire for fuller lips? What's the psychology behind it,
Well, I think for some people, it's really about boosting their self-confidence.
Okay.
And feeling more attractive. Fuller lips can actually change the way you see yourself and how other people perceive you.
Yeah.
And there's actually research out there
Really?
that suggests fuller lips are often associated with certain personality traits.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Being seen as more sensual or extroverted.
Wow. So it's almost like a subconscious thing, right?
Yeah, maybe.
We see fuller lips and automatically think, oh, this person is confident and outgoing.
Right. It's interesting how much is going on beneath the surface.
It really is. But of course, it's important to approach all of this with a healthy mindset.
Absolutely.
You can't fix everything with a syringe.
You can't. You're right.
So let's say someone is considering lip fillers and they've thought about it carefully. What's the actual procedure like?
Okay. So
I bet a lot of people are wondering about the details.
Definitely. So the very first step is a consultation with a qualified provider.
Okay.
And that's where you discuss your goals, you get a realistic assessment of what's achievable.
Right.
And, most importantly, they review your medical history.
So finding the right provider is key. Right.
Absolutely.
You don't want someone who just gives everyone the same, cookie cutter lips. You want someone who will really listen to what you want.
Definitely. A good provider will really take the time to explain the whole procedure, answer all your questions, and address any concerns.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then, if you decide to go ahead with it, they'll prepare the area by cleaning it, applying a topical numbing cream.
Oh, okay. So it's not too uncomfortable then. What happens after that? Do they just start injecting right away?
Not quite. The provider will use a very fine needle, or sometimes a cannula, to inject the filler.
The cannula? What's that?
It's kind of imagine a tiny little flexible tube with a blunt tip.
Okay.
Some providers prefer to use them because it can actually reduce the risk of bruising and some of the more serious complications.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, they're designed to navigate around blood vessels more easily.
So it's all about being super precise.
Exactly. Minimizing the risk as much as possible.
Okay, that makes sense. So they inject the filler, and then is that pretty much it?
They might massage the area a little bit.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that the filler is evenly distributed. But yeah, that's basically the procedure.
And how long does it usually take?
The whole thing. Usually just about 15 to 30 minutes.
Wow, that's quicker than I thought.
Yeah, you're in and out pretty fast.
But I imagine there's some recovery time, right?
Yeah, you'll probably experience some swelling and maybe a little bruising right after the procedure.
Okay, that makes sense. So how long before you're selfie ready with your new lips?
Most of the swelling usually subsides within a few days, but it can take up to 2 weeks to see the final results.
So a little bit of patience is needed.
Definitely.
But here's a question that I bet is on a lot of people's minds. What if you don't like the results? What if they look too dramatic or unnatural?
Yeah.
Is there any way to fix it?
That's actually one of the great things about HA fillers.
Oh, yeah.
They're reversible.
No way.
Yeah, so if you're not happy with the results or if any complications come up, your provider can inject an enzyme called hyaluronidase.
What does that do?
It basically dissolves the filler. Yeah, it's like an eraser for the filler.
Wow.
So it gives you that safety net.
Okay, that's good to know. So you're not stuck with a permanent change.
Exactly.
But I imagine even with that safety net, finding a skilled and experienced injector is really, really important.
Oh, absolutely. It's crucial.
You don't want to just trust anyone with your face, right?
Exactly. You want someone who understands facial anatomy, knows all the safe injection techniques, and just has a good eye for aesthetics.
Right, because it's like an art as much as it is a science, right? It's like finding the right artist for your face.
Exactly.
Someone who gets your vision.
Yeah.
But speaking of the art versus the science of it all, let's get practical for a minute. Cost is obviously a big factor for a lot of people.
Yeah.
How much do lip fillers typically cost?
Well, the price tag can really vary depending on where you live, what type of filler they're using,
right?
The provider's experience. But in general, you're looking at around $500 to $1,500 per session in the U.S.
Okay, so not exactly an impulse purchase.
No.
But maybe not as unattainable as some people might think.
Right.
And actually, we found some interesting specifics on costs in our research.
Right.
Juvederm can cost anywhere from $350 to $150 per syringe.
Wow.
And Restylane ranges from $383 all the way up to $4,389.
Yeah, there's definitely a big range.
Yeah, for sure.
That's why it's important to do your homework.
Oh, definitely.
Research the different brands, compare prices, and ask your provider about, their preferred filler and why they think it's right for you.
Great advice.
Thank you.
So we've covered the basics of what lip fillers are, how the procedure works, the cost. But what about those people who, they're intrigued by the idea of having fuller lips,
Yeah.
but maybe they're not ready to commit to fillers yet?
Right.
Are there other things they can try?
Absolutely. There are definitely some non-invasive alternatives you can look into.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me more.
Okay, so there are topical products that have things like hyaluronic acid or other plumping agents that can give you a little bit of temporary volume.
Oh, okay, so like a lip gloss or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
And then some people also try lip exercises,
Really?
which, they're not a miracle cure or anything,
Right.
but they can help to tone the muscles around your lips.
So you're saying making kissy faces can actually make a difference?
Maybe a little. It might not be super dramatic, but it could help a bit.
Okay.
And then you could also look into laser treatments.
Oh, okay.
Those can stimulate collagen production, which can lead to a subtle plumping effect.
Got it.
And then, of course, there's the Botox lip flip.
Oh, yeah. I've heard about that. Can you remind me how that works?
Yeah, so Botox is injected into the muscles around your upper lip,
Okay.
and it relaxes them, causing the lip to kind of flip outward a little bit.
Oh, I see.
So it gives the appearance of more volume.
Okay, that's pretty clever.
Yeah.
So it's not adding volume directly, but it's manipulating the muscles to achieve kind of a similar effect.
Exactly.
That's cool.
It's a good option for some people.
Wow. Sounds like there's a whole range of options out there.
There are.
From just temporary tweaks to more dramatic and longer lasting results.
Yeah, I think that's what makes this topic so interesting.
Definitely.
It's not just about the physical changes.
Right.
It also makes us think about things like beauty standards, self-acceptance, and the choices we make to feel our best.
It really does.
It's about so much more than just wanting bigger lips.
For sure. But of course, we can't talk about lip fillers without talking about, the potential risks involved. Because let's be real, there are some things that could go wrong. So let's dive into those in more detail right now.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's get into the risks of getting lip fillers.
Yeah, it's important to be aware of those.
Totally. I mean, no procedure is completely without risk, right?
Exactly.
So lay it on us. What are the things that could go wrong?
Well, we already talked a little bit about the common side effects.
Like bruising and swelling.
Right, exactly. And those are totally normal. And they usually go away on their own within a few days.
So like nothing too serious?
Usually not.
Okay, good.
But there are some less common, but potentially more serious risks.
Okay, yeah. Those are the ones I'm a little more worried about.
Yeah, for sure.
So what are those?
One of the big ones is something called vascular occlusion.
Vascular occlusions. Whoa, that sounds kind of scary.
Yeah, it can be.
So what is that exactly?
So imagine like you accidentally inject filler into a tiny little straw.
Okay.
And that straw is a blood vessel.
Got it.
So vascular occlusion is when the filler basically blocks that straw.
Oh.
And it prevents essential nutrients from getting to the surrounding tissues.
That doesn't sound good.
No, it's not.
And that's why it's so dangerous.
Right.
Okay.
It can actually lead to tissue death.
Tissue death.
Yeah, which is also known as necrosis.
Necrosis. Yikes. Okay, definitely don't want that.
No, definitely not.
So how do you minimize that risk? Is it all about finding a really skilled injector?
That's a huge part of it, yeah.
Okay.
Choosing a qualified and experienced provider, they'll understand the facial anatomy really well.
Right.
And know the proper injection techniques to avoid those blood vessels.
And hopefully they would know what to do if something did go wrong.
Right.
They can react quickly.
Yeah, a good provider will be prepared to handle any complications.
Okay, that's reassuring.
And they should always go over your medical history with you during the consultation.
Yeah, that's important.
And make sure that lip fillers are even safe for you in the first place.
Okay, so it's like a two-way street, right?
Yeah.
I need to be honest with my provider about my medical history, and they need to be honest with me about the risks.
Exactly.
Okay.
And speaking of risks, we should also talk about the possibility of infection.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I mean, anytime you're poking needles into your skin,
right,
there's that risk.
It's a risk with any injection.
Okay.
So it's really important that they use strict, sterile techniques during the procedure.
To minimize that risk.
Yes, absolutely.
So we've got vascular occlusion, infection. Any other red flags to watch out for?
Yeah, sometimes you can get lumps or bumps under the skin.
Is that from the filler itself?
It can be. Sometimes it's because of how the filler was injected, or sometimes it's even just your body reacting to the filler material.
Oh, okay.
Usually those lumps can be massaged out.
Okay.
Or dissolved with that hyaluronidase enzyme we talked about.
The filler eraser.
Right, exactly.
Oh.
But sometimes they can be a little more stubborn.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, there's also the risk of just ending up with, like, that overdone look, like shroud pout or duck lips.
Unfortunately, yeah, that can definitely happen.
So again, it's all about finding a skilled provider.
Right.
Someone who's not going to go overboard.
Exactly. Someone who understands how to create a natural looking result.
That actually enhances your features instead of like distorting them.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, cool. So we've talked about the risks. And I think it's important to say that, for some people, the risks might outweigh the benefits.
Yeah.
Lip fillers aren't for everyone, right?
Right. Like we mentioned before, certain medical conditions might make it riskier for you.
Okay.
So if you have any concerns, you should definitely talk to your doctor.
Right. And we talked about the importance of having a healthy mindset going into this.
Yes, that's so important.
Like if you have body dysmorphia,
right,
lip fillers aren't going to fix that.
Exactly. And a good provider will actually recognize that.
Okay.
And maybe even recommend counseling or therapy before doing any cosmetic procedures.
So it's more than just the physical stuff, right?
Definitely.
It's also about mental and emotional well-being.
It's about feeling good about yourself, inside and out.
Totally. Okay, so we've talked about the risks and who might not be a good candidate for lip fillers. But let's switch gears for a minute and talk about the benefits.
Yeah.
Like, what can lip fillers actually do for people who are good candidates?
Well, the most obvious benefit is that they enhance your lip volume and shape.
Right, that's the whole point.
Exactly.
And I imagine a lot of people find that really boosts their confidence.
Yeah, a lot of people feel more attractive when they have fuller lips.
And it's pretty cool that the results are immediate, right?
Yeah, you see a difference right away.
That's awesome.
And because HA fillers are temporary,
right,
you have the flexibility to adjust the volume and shape over time.
Oh, okay. So you can like start subtly and then gradually add more if you want.
Exactly.
Or even just let the filler dissolve completely if you decide it's not for you.
Right.
That's really cool. So you're not committed to anything permanent.
Exactly.
Okay, so besides just making your lips bigger, are there any other benefits?
Yeah. Actually, some people find that lip fillers can soften the appearance of wrinkles around the mouth.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just about plumping, it can also have an anti-aging effect.
Exactly.
Oh, cool.
And for some people, lip fillers can even help with asymmetry.
Oh, yeah.
Like if one side of your lips is naturally a little fuller than the other,
Okay.
fillers can help balance that out.
It's all about achieving that, like perfect harmony.
Right. Okay, awesome.
And again, this is why it's so important to have that consultation with a provider who understands your individual needs and goals.
Right, they can help you figure out if lip fillers are even right for you.
Exactly.
And then create a plan that's tailored to your specific anatomy and what you're hoping to achieve.
And they can help you understand the risks and benefits so you can make an informed decision.
Definitely. So we've covered the risks, the benefits, the procedure, how important it is to find a skilled injector. But let's zoom out for a second and talk about the bigger picture.
Like, lip fillers have become such a hot topic in recent years, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
There are all these conversations happening about beauty standards and body image.
Absolutely.
And I think social media plays a huge role in that.
It definitely does.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, social media has definitely made us all more aware of things like lip fillers. We're constantly bombarded with images of these like perfect faces,
Right.
which, let's be honest, are often heavily filtered and edited.
Totally. And it's not always obvious what's real and what's not.
Exactly. And it can create this pressure to achieve a certain look.
Yeah.
And lip fillers have become one of the tools in that pursuit.
It's like everyone's chasing after the same ideal,
Right.
which might not even be attainable in the first place.
Exactly.
And I mean, there's nothing wrong with wanting to enhance your appearance.
Right.
But I think it's so important to be mindful of why you're doing it. Are you doing it for yourself, or are you doing it because you feel like you need to meet some external standard?
That's the question, right? Are we trying to fit into some mold that society has created?
Yeah.
Or are we trying to enhance our natural beauty in a way that makes us feel good?
Because true confidence comes from within, right?
Absolutely.
It's not about looking like someone else.
It's about being comfortable in your own skin.
Totally. And that's why these conversations about body image and self-acceptance are so important.
I agree.
Yeah.
We need to be critical of the messages we're consuming. And remember that beauty comes in all shapes and sizes.
For sure. Okay, that's a great point to end on.
Yeah.
We've talked about the current landscape of lip fillers, but I'm curious about what the future holds.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what are some of the emerging trends? What new developments are you excited about?
Let's get into it.
So we've talked about pretty much everything there is to know about lip fillers.
I think so.
The procedures, the risks, the costs, even how social media plays a role.
Yeah. We've covered a lot.
But what about the future?
Oh, yeah.
What's coming next for lip fillers?
Well, that's the exciting thing about this field, you know?
Yeah.
It's constantly changing.
Totally.
Researchers are always coming up with ways to make fillers better and safer and, you know, developing techniques for more natural looking results.
Okay, so what's on the horizon? What are you excited about?
One area I think is really interesting is the development of bioengineered fillers.
Bioengineered fillers.
Yeah, so these are like custom-made fillers
Oh, wow.
that break down at a more controlled rate.
So they could last longer.
They could. And they could give you more predictable results too.
Oh, okay.
It's like tailoring the filler to your body and how it naturally breaks things down.
That makes sense.
And then there's some research going on about putting growth factors into fillers.
Growth factor.
Yeah, and these could actually stimulate your body to make more of its own collagen,
Oh, wow.
which would, you know, give you a plumping effect from the inside out.
So it's not just about adding volume artificially. It's about actually helping your body do its own thing.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
And we're seeing advancements in like targeted formulas too,
What do you mean by that?
like fillers that are specifically designed for different areas of the face.
Okay.
So instead of using the same filler everywhere,
Right.
you might have a lip filler that's just for lips.
Makes sense. They're different from like your cheeks or your forehead.
Right, exactly.
Okay. And is there anything else?
Oh, there's this thing called structural support technology.
What?
It's pretty amazing. Imagine fillers that not only add volume, but they also support like the structure of your lips.
Oh, wow. So it's almost like a little like scaffolding or something?
Yeah. So it could help prevent sagging and keep your lips looking youthful for longer.
Whoa, that's wild. It's like built-in support for your lips.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Okay, so it sounds like there's a lot to look forward to in the future of lip fillers.
Definitely.
But with any new technology, there are always ethical questions to think about, right?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. As these advancements become available to more people, I think it's really important to talk about using them responsibly, like setting realistic expectations.
Right.
And making sure people don't feel pressured to change their appearance.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about the impact that social media has on all of this.
Yeah, it's a powerful force.
And I mean, it's great that we have these options to enhance our features, but we have to be careful not to lose sight of what really matters.
Absolutely. It's about feeling confident and comfortable in your own skin.
Exactly.
Whether you choose to get lip fillers or not.
I think that's a really important point to make. So as exciting as all this new technology is,
right,
it's not a magic solution for everything.
It's not, but it's a tool that can be used effectively when it's in the right hands.
Totally. And speaking of being in the right hands, like you said before, choosing a qualified and experienced provider is crucial.
Absolutely. That's like the most important thing.
So even with all these amazing advancements, it still comes down to the human element.
Yeah.
The skill and expertise of the person doing the injection.
100%.
Yeah.
It's a partnership, really. You need to trust your provider and feel comfortable asking questions.
Totally. And as consumers, it's on us to be informed, do our research, and make thoughtful choices about what we do with our bodies.
I think that's a great way to sum it up.
I think so too. Well, this has been a really fascinating deep dive into the world of lip fillers.
It has been.
We've learned so much, and I hope our listeners have too.
Me too.
We'll be sure to link to all of the sources we used.
Yep.
So if you're interested in learning even more, you can check those out.
Definitely.
But for now, we'll leave you with this thought. How do you think our perception of lip fillers and other cosmetic procedures will change in the future?
Yeah, that's a good one.
What role will technology play? And how can we make sure these advancements are used ethically and responsibly?
Important questions to think about.
They really are. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
My pleasure.
Until next time, stay curious.